MPs are now in the running to become the next leader. There are 10 of them.
Yes, 10 now thrown their hats into the ring to be the next Prime Minister. The latest is the Housing Minister, Kit Malthouse. I'm very pleased to say we can speak to him now from Westminster. Very good morning to you.
Morning, Charlie.
So, do you want to finish the sentence? I should be Prime Minister because?
Yeah, I should be Prime Minister because we need 3 steps, really, to get us out of this jam. First of all, the Conservative Party has to unify. Secondly, we have to produce a Brexit plan that will get us out on the 31st of October. And thirdly, then move on to a really compelling domestic agenda that will attract the kind of support we need to win a general election. Now, the first two, the unity and a Brexit plan, I've already proved that I can do. We did it back at the end of January with what became known as the Malthouse Compromise, and I believe I can do that again this time, and that's going to be my primary appeal beyond, as I say, this really compelling domestic agenda focused around children and schools and investing in the future.
Well, it's a good pitch. So the Malthouse Compromise, if it was that good, it would have worked.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the time, people's view was that the Prime Minister's deal, Theresa May's deal, was going to go through. And hence it didn't quite get the purchase that it should have done, in my view. And we might, if it had, have been in a different situation now.
So it failed.
Well, times have changed because the Prime Minister's deal is obviously not going to pass. So we need a new approach. And my view is that we have to unify around a Brexit plan that will get us out on the 31st of October. Now, people are looking at the election results over the weekend and are interpreting it in all sorts of different ways as suits their view. But what it does show us is that the country remains hopelessly divided still on this issue, and critically that we still have a mathematical problem in Parliament. And unless the Conservative Party can find a way to come together as a whole, deliver a majority for a plan and take us over the line on the 31st of October, then we'll remain in this jam. Now, I'm the only candidate who's proven that I'm able to do that, proven it back in January, and I think I should have another go.
Are you popular?
Well, I certainly think I have a large element of trust amongst my colleagues. The ability, for instance, to bring, Nicky Morgan, Steve Baker, Jacob Rees-Mogg, Robert Buckland into a room together was greeted with some astonishment by my colleagues. And I like to think that I'm a bit of a straight shooter. I deal with people honestly and fairly, and as I say, try and build trust and friendship. Because in the end, a parliamentary party is exactly that. It's a group of friends who've come together on a collective political mission. And that's what we need to regain, that trust and unity, if we're going to get this done.
Straight shooting, it's a wonderful phrase, isn't it? So let's try for a bit of that right now. Will you guarantee, Kit Malthouse as Prime Minister, there will be absolutely no extension under any circumstances to the October the 31st deadline?
So I think an extension would be extremely difficult. I've never voted for an extension.
I'm sorry, that was here's the point. Here's the point, if I may. This is where we test the things you've just said, that you're a straight shooter. I've asked you a very, very straightforward question. So let's go for it again. Can you guarantee that there are no circumstances under which, as Kit Malthouse, as Prime Minister, we would go beyond October the 31st? And the point of that question is, and I know you'll understand it, is that the very criticism, maybe from you amongst others, was that Theresa May broke promises. So what are you going to tell us? Yeah, no,
I understand what you're trying to establish, Charlie. And obviously this debate is coming down to the question of no deal and whether, a Prime Minister is willing to go over the line on no deal. And my view on this is that we make a mistake. We delude ourselves if we think no deal is entirely in our control. It's perfectly possible, and indeed President Macron said just last week that he wouldn't allow us to go beyond the 31st of October in any circumstances, deal or no deal. And so we have to prepare for no deal on the basis that the EU may well choose it on their and our behalf. Now, my primary objective, as I say, the most important thing, and what the vast majority of Conservative MPs want, is to get a deal around which we can all unite and get out before the 31st of October. If we get to that date, then it may be that the EU choose no deal on our behalf, not us. We want to choose a deal, but they may choose it on our behalf, and the choice will be taken away from us.
Yes, but if you've got the choice.
Well, the choice, I think an extension beyond the 31st of October would be very undesirable, and I would not voluntarily choose it, no.
So it wouldn't happen. I mean, you're Prime Minister. I mean, here's the difference. You can say, as a non-Prime Minister, you can say, well, I wouldn't like that to happen. But if you're Prime Minister, that's when everything changes. That's why we need clarity.
No, that's absolutely right, Charlie. But what you're ignoring, of course, is the mathematical problem in Parliament. Where Theresa May found herself, and she paid a big price for this. Where she found herself was in a situation where a majority in Parliament formed against her and against no deal. My view is that we need to get to the 31st of October ready and able to take no deal if we want to. So, for example, we need to have some honest conversations about the industries that are going to be affected. Thus far, I think we've been deluding ourselves. I mean, those people who say no deal is going to be a catastrophe are wrong, but also so are those people who say it's going to be a walk in the park. So we need to have a period of proper preparation, be transparent about what we've done in government, which is a lot. We shouldn't have been shy about it. We need to get small business ready, but in particular those sensitive industries that are affected, we need to talk to them about what we could do to support them if, as I say, the EU chooses no deal on our behalf. And there are strong signs that they're still preparing for that and that they may well take us over the line at the end.
Conservative Party's running scared right now. I mean, it would be a nightmare, wouldn't it? I think Jeremy Hunt has alluded to this. To go to a general election, that would be a disaster, wouldn't it, right now? Do you agree?
Well, it's obviously the case that in a general election at the moment, as far as I can see, the votes would scatter, and who knows what the result might be. But as I say, the critical focus now for the Conservative Party, for everybody who's interested in, frankly, the future of the government and making sure that we keep a Conservative Party on track to deliver a bright future for the country, is that we unify, that we come together, that we hammer out a Brexit plan, which we can present to Europe and say, this is the plan we are choosing. We recognise that you may choose no deal. We don't want no deal. We want a deal, but we will be ready for it. At the same time, here is a positive plan for both of us to thrive in the future.
Because people will be interested in seeing you and hearing how you talk and how you deal with things. I want to give you, can you give me, how about we try one answer replies to something, okay?
Okay.
Can we give it a try?
Sure, as long as it's not cheese rolling.
Okay, it's not cheese rolling. I think it might be a bit more tricky than that. Boris Johnson.
Well, I spent...
the idea was one word. The idea
right.
was one word. I'll say it again. Boris Johnson.
I loved my time working with Boris Johnson.
Is that as good as it gets? Okay, no, fair enough, fair enough. Michael Gove.
Strong, intellectual, great reforming Secretary of State.
And Dominic Raab.
My predecessor was housing minister and a nice guy.
You sound like great candidates. I'm not sure you've done yourself any favours there.
Well, you know, what we hope is that when you go into a leadership election, you have a really attractive and tasty box of chocolates from which to choose. My pitch and what I'm saying is that I'm the only candidate that's proven the ability to unify MPs around a Brexit plan which could deliver us out of this jam. And that's what I'm going to be taking forward to my colleagues in Parliament.
We appreciate... I'm sorry, I'm going to stop you there. We appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.